as a kid, I drank it because I was a Ghostbusters fan. I don't like Ecto Cooler.
Sure.
It was really harsh. And if you were sick, R.I.P. your throat, because it just burned you.
Yeah, it was like ginger.
Yeah. It's like ginger and tangerine. It pulled essential nutrients out of your throat. But I drank a lot of it.
All right, this is This Week in Nerd History. This is a podcast where we talk about all the fun, dumb, nerdy stuff from the past, present, and future. I'm Mike. Joining me as always, we got AJ and Sal, and we have a special guest. We got Dan, none other than AJ's husband.
Boom, look at that. It's a fish.
Welcome aboard, Dan.
14 years of matrimony. That's us.
This is going to be a special Ghostbusters themed episode. But we also got some like Today in Nerd History stuff that we're going to talk about too. This is another, just it has nothing to do with anything. Just a weird thing that happened to me over the past like couple weeks. I had two like weird things happen with cars, and my response to them was completely flip-flopped. So I technically got hit by a car like last week, very gently, but technically I got hit by a car. I was leaving the coffee place.
Like you as a person,
yeah,
not
I was
in
walking.
a car. Also.
Oh, a human being? It bumped into you? Like, oh no.
Yeah, but it was like it was
even the gentle. It's a 2,000-pound hunk of metal and rubber.
My reaction
AJ has got a big bruise on her butt permanently from getting hit by a car.
Oh
so I'm curious what you got.
Mine was nothing. It was just like, it was the slowest possible thing that could happen. But it was like, I was just leaving the coffee place. And if you don't know where you're driving to, you're going to like hit somebody just like that. And like, I'm leaving. So I know that a car's coming. So I like stop and I'm looking, cause it's just like the drive-through pickup windows right there.
Right.
And I like making eye contact with the lady who's driving. And I'm like, all right, I'm going.
Don't hit it.
It's like,
my
form
Did you say like,
over
are you chicken as you made eye contact?
Yeah.
I was like, my reaction to it, like my friend, I go, heads up. Like that was my reaction to it.
That is so you being murdered.
And then I just,
whoa, hey, that knife is getting kind of close.
out.
Oh, and now it's my heart. Okay.
and there's another car like going around it that knows like that's an area you got to be slow. And that person's just like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, morning. I go to the car and whatever. And like as I'm leaving, I go, I kind of just got hit by a car. So then like a few days later, totally different thing. I'm driving. I'm going through like an intersection where I know that I'm going straight through it. And I know it's an intersection where like people who are making a left on it almost always, they don't realize that they don't have the right of way. So they're almost always going to cut off somebody who's there. So I'm like always expecting it.
Yeah.
And it happens. And I like beep on the horn. I'm like, dude, stop. And the dude beeps back at me. And my reaction to that is like my window was already down. I'm just right in the guy's face. I'm like, I have the right of way, dipshit. I'm like, yes. The angriest guy. And he's like, oh, sorry. And he drives away. But I'm like, two total opposite, like, I don't know what my gauge is anymore for like, what makes me upset.
You go from road sage to road rage.
That's right.
All right, this is Today in Nerd History, and I'm going to throw it to Sal and AJ for stuff that is currently on TV's things. Go!
Things that are happening.
Yeah, welcome to Real Talk with AJ, where she talks about shows and movies that she's seen recently that didn't have a place in the previous episodes. What do we got? You saw Lilo and Stitch, I understand, recently, right?
I saw Lilo and Stitch, and it was good as a movie. I would say it was enjoyable. I saw it with Dan and both of our kids, and they
cried.
Loved it.
As much as she like might try to play it down, it touched her.
I cried, but like literally, like I cried because of like a commercial like yesterday. So like it doesn't take a lot. Like there's a Subaru commercial. If you know the one I'm talking about, it's the one with the dog and like the kid's growing up and he goes to school and then the dog's old at the end. I cry every time. I can't like.
You're ruining your like critics quote. Whatever. I cried, but I cried.
I cried. No, I don't need like a sound bit from this. It was a good movie, but I couldn't stop thinking about the original while I was watching it, and I was bummed that there weren't certain things that I love about the original. Like my very favorite part of the original Lilo and Stitch is when Lilo has a book of practical voodoo, and she puts spoons in a jar that look like the girls that she hulas with, and she says, "My friends need to be punished." It's like the thing that like spoke to me the most as like a teenager watching a Disney movie and being like, this is so out of character for Disney.
Yes.
And I loved it so much that it made it my favorite movie for a long time.
But do you want all the jokes and all the gags to be the same?
No, I don't want every joke, and I don't need every joke.
This is
but
your
like,
chance
there's
for
something.
fresh stitch.
There's something about the way Lilo was like chaos for chaos sake that she wasn't as much in this movie. And I get the like they needed to ground her and make her more realistic and believable, but like it felt like she was reigning in Stitch's chaos a lot more than she was trying to create her own. And we really she had a lot of chaotic energy at the beginning of the original movie, and I wanted more chaos from Lilo. She should have been more of a baddie. She was kind of like, oh, she did a thing and it was a mistake and it's not a big deal, but like she's seen in a bad light. Like she's kind of, I don't know. She goes to a hotel that she's not supposed to be at and like hangs out in the hot tub and
they
like
removed her fags.
but
In the original, she like nails the door shut, and it's like, oh wow, this is like Disney's going out of their way to do something different here. And here in this one, she just locks the door. Like what? That's why nail the door shut.
Nail the door shut again.
Yeah,
do it.
I always love how Lilo was like Stitch until she meets him, and at first she's like, "This is great," and then you could tell like there's a point in the movie where she's just like kind of like, "All right, fun's fun, but like we gotta."
It's like in her bedroom when she says like, "You ruin everything you touch,"
right.
and she puts the little lay on him, and he just kind of chills out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The Last of Us ended this season, not forever. There's going to be another season, but I am mad about the ending. Did either of you watch?
I haven't been in the mood to watch
No.
beyond the first episode. No.
Yeah, no, I watched my wife play the second game, and I hated almost every second of it, and was like, I will never watch it. However, did they do...
I love how much you hate it.
I was like, no! Did they do the museum sequence?
Yeah, I saw the clip of that.
And it was fantastic.
I'm like,
really
this is it. This is beautiful and incredible.
They did there's like a flashback episode where you get to see Ellie, and so like you kind of predicted this early on, Mike, that like he's Pedro Pascal's character dies almost immediately. What else are they doing? They did an episode where they do like a couple of years in succession on her birthday, like things that happen, and it's really beautiful. And I cried so much throughout it.
Yeah, I kind of want to rewatch that one.
I came close to watching I was like, I'm just gonna watch like a handful of episodes and whatever, and then like I saw just a random clip of just like the golf bag and like a golf club getting taken out. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I'm good. I don't want to. Yeah.
I was like, this is stupid.
I mean, they keep a lot of it off screen.
Yeah,
they
wasn't so bad.
They don't get too. They don't get too gory with it for that one.
I saw one clip. I couldn't put the context in because I don't know the characters and stuff. But there's like the military dude. I forget the actor's name. He was the latest like Commissioner Gordon in
Batman. It was Jeffrey.
Jeffrey
Wright.
Oh man, he's in the show.
Yeah, he's good.
And like
our
there's
Westworld friend.
That clip he like throws like a grenade into the back of like a SWAT van.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah, that scene is.
But then like in the game, I saw like in the game, there's a part where they open up a SWAT van and it's full of like charred corpses.
Oh, really?
So it was like
cool.
the whole behind the scenes part of that.
I guess that was the closest thing to getting something totally new because that story hadn't been told. But it wasn't like a full episode like Nick Offerman had.
Yeah.
Just a piece of it.
I rewatched that one recently because there was like leading up to this season, they're just kind of playing through the first one. I was like, man, I thought maybe like the shine had worn off or something, or I just thought it was this guy. I was like, no, this was fantastic episode of television. Crazy.
So Sal, you were telling us that there's a new movie coming out this weekend.
Yes, Predator Killer of Killers is coming to Hulu. Or rather, at the time you watching this episode, it has come out, and I've already freaked out about how awesome it was. I thought it was going to be like a kind of mini series because we had been promised a upcoming Predator movie called Predator Badlands, but they also made a Predator animated anthology film. We're getting 3 different timelines that are, I guess, all kind of like punctuating each other. You got like a Viking raider, you have a ninja in feudal Japan, and you have a World War II pilot who's like dealing with predators and spaceships. I'm like, yes, that's amazing. And actually, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to share. There's like Disney sent me like clips. Like they send me this over like a lot because I do this sometimes, and so I'll get like an email that's like, we have an exclusive clip, like we have like little, and they're just like extended versions of trailers and stuff. But like I got a scene from Predator that I'd like to share. It's the freak phone, and here's the party freak. Friday freaker, dancing new sensation, grabbing the nation, doing the freak. Call now, 1-900-490-FREAK. Join the party, the fast and easy way to hear what's scamming from New York to LA. Call now.
I was excited, actually. I was like, oh, every era of Predator. Is this a real thing? Can I actually watch this show?
It is a real thing, and it actually is coming.
But it does look like that. I do actually
have a clip. I don't have it up right now.
All right, this is Yesterday Nerd History, right? Yes. And we are talking about Ghostbusters. Is it like an anniversary? It was 84.
Nope.
All right.
It's 41 years.
Time to talk about it. It's cool. Yeah.
But to be fair, it turned 40 before we started this podcast, so we couldn't have done it.
A year before.
We're doing it 41 years. It's 41 years old.
I wanted to introduce myself.
Please.
Wherein, like,
Sure.
I have a bona fide that is associated with this series in that I've been running the fan campaign to bring back Ecto Cooler. And we've had several successful runs at bringing back this fruity drink from the early 90s. It's a high C drink that was much beloved after Ghostbusters 2 came out. It stayed on shelves for like 15 years. And then it disappeared for a while, and fans were thirsty for it. So I kind of collected the fans, and we've been doing campaigns for years. And we led the charge to get it to come back in 2016, and again for a limited run in 2021. And there's supposed to be an animated show coming down the pipeline, and we're hopeful. That's what really drives those kids' drinks, like an animated show rather than like a PG-13 movie. So we're hopeful that we can get another bigger run of it going.
What's involved in doing that? Like, who are you talking to like get the run going again?
I literally get DMs from the people at Coca-Cola marketing, like the people at IC are like, hey, you want to like collaborate on a little project soon, like behind the scenes there. As long as I keep like the fandom active, like if I see a tattoo, I share it. If I see somebody like making a cocktail at a bar, I share it. Like there's people are doing fun stuff with Ecto Cooler flavors.
There's Ecto Cooler beers that people make in like their little. And
very
like their
microbreweries.
Yeah.
So I'm like just like bringing the culture out and sharing it, and everyone's excited about it and keeping it alive. And the people are watching.
He wrote a Ghostbusters 3 spec script when he was maybe 10.
I love it.
Owns a proton pack, obviously, which is right behind him.
Yeah.
We have the real Ghostbusters box set that looks like a firehouse.
I stand by this Ghostbusters 3 concept, though.
Please walk us
through it. It would have taken
it.
place. So Dana was central to all the first 2 films. She was, she had supernatural stuff happen to her, and she was part of an orchestra, but it never played into the plot. So, the first Ghostbusters was about like architecture, and the second one was about like under the city, and I thought like, and art. And I thought the third one could be about music, and maybe taking from a Ghostbusters cartoon, she could be part of a plot to play a song that would end the world. And so like her orchestra would get taken over or something, and like it would come full circle for the GBs. This was my idea as a 3rd grader. That's all I have.
It's not bad.
That is
insanely
well thought out.
Fun.
That's more effort than they have done, so that's great. Do we get to
they're
see
at, like Ice Ghost makes New York cold?
Yeah. Oh no, cold is bad.
Cold is real bad.
Cold might kill you.
But they could wear cool red cold uniforms that are like $6,000 a piece for no good reason.
Yeah, they did do that in a trailer, and then didn't actually do it in the movie, but made all the fans buy these super expensive coats.
Yep. Which, by the way,
some of the fans,
I think they look pretty good. I also I looked into them. I'm like, nope.
Hey, $100, sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Like $1,000.
How much were they?
They were
a grand or something.
At least $1,000. It was. I was like, nope. That's nuts. That's nuts. It's a jumpsuit, right? Like, what are you, crazy?
It also didn't make sense that they would have like Ghostbusters branded like Arctic wear on hand for every person, including people that just got on the team this summer. Like, what? That's part of your storage plan?
Uh-huh. Well, who knows? You probably do. What they're working on with the Netflix cartoon?
Yeah, the Netflix cartoon, they still haven't showcased any art from it. They were still hiring like creative directors, and there was like a special effects director as of like 2 months ago. I feel like the steam has kind of left the sales of the franchise since last year, but even though it was kind of like a box office dud, Frozen Empire. I mean, it did okay. On Netflix, it like broke. I don't know if it broke records, but it was like #1 on Netflix for like a month or something like that.
Okay.
So Netflix sees that, like, with Stranger Things, like there's an audience that cares. So Netflix is developing this new cartoon, and it's been in development for a couple of years now. And we're all curious, like, will it take like page out of real Ghostbusters? Will it feel like something totally different? Like nobody knows, and it feels like the future of the franchise is totally up in the air.
Yeah. But at least there is a potential future for it, as opposed to like
what we were
told
they're developing
forever.
a movie at the same time.
Yeah.
There's an animated film from the director of Cloudy with Chance of Meatballs 2. And, he that's a good movie. That's a really fun slapstick movie. Maybe it'll be a different vibe. I'd be cool for there to be like a dark, edgy teen like animated series that like really calls upon that original 1980s series. And then maybe like a really fun kids movie. So, like, why not have both at the same time?
I do have a short trivia. Do you want to do it now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's transition.
Let's jump right into short trivia. My first question is only to Sal because I know that Dan knows the answer to this because we talked about it last night, so it feels a little wishy-washy. But how many calculators do we see Egon use in the movie?
Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
And I was going to make it like multiple choice, but I'm like, all of these things should just be open-ended.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to make it easy for you. You've got to come up with the answer on your own.
That kind of questions. All right. Because I'm like, oh, man. Now I just got to remember each
moments
scene
where he
that
could
he's
use
using
a calculator and he doesn't necessarily use one. Like,
yeah. I mean, I immediately think of just that scene in the library where it gets knocked out of his hands. He doesn't know what else to do.
That's
very
number one.
abusive Venkman.
Stop this one.
I'm going to say 3. But it's probably
Close.
more like 5.
No, it's actually only 2.
Oh, really?
It's
That's
2,
it?
but they're different
Yeah,
calculators.
it's 2. He
Well, they have
uses
to be.
the one that you mentioned in the library, and then he has a little miniature one when they come out of the bank scene, and he's talking about
and
how
he's
much-
doing
how
he's
much
calculating the
he's
mortgage.
doing the calculator.
It's like so
You're gonna
tiny.
have $95,000
Yeah.
in the first 5 years alone.
Yeah, that's right. My parents.
And you would think that he would
left me
bust
that
one out
house
for the
little.
Twinkie calculation, but he just does that off top.
That's what I was going to say. The biggest
Yeah.
calculator was in his head, where he busts out those
That's-
numbers.
He does have a head calculator,
That's
so
why
I
his
could call that
forehead's so
3.
tall.
That's right. I love
Stacked with I-85.
when it comes to Egon and numbers. My favorite, and I think it's a thing that I noticed many years after like being a kid and watching those movies, was Spengler indicating to Venkman how much to charge or overcharge the Sedgwick.
Yeah, when
And him
it's-
just being like, "That's going to come."
Did you say you missed that when you were a
Three big
kid?
ones.
Yeah, as a kid, I did not catch that. I was just
Do you
like,
know why?
Be-
Because the widescreen, if you
yeah.
watched it on VHS, it actually wasn't in the film.
"There we go."
So once
Wait,
they
for
went
real?
wide, you could actually see that joke. It got cut out.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is fun.
That does track because I
Well, when
watched.
we were watching
other
it, like,
jokes did
you
that?
could watch any of the faces of the 3 or 4 guys depending on the scene, and there's something happening that they're doing that's extra but not
They're so
outlandish
funny.
out of character.
Yes.
When they
And
go
so,
into
like-
the ballroom and they're closing the door,
Ah.
Venkman's doing
All-
this
all
weird,
3 of
like,
them are being
stretching his
hilarious.
arm. They're all, and then like Egon and Ray both have these creepy smiles. Like,
Yeah, like
Like, is everything's fine?
back into my trivia.
yes.
What does it say on the firehouse before they buy it? There's graffiti on the windows.
Oh,
Does
I think it's just
anybody
dollar
know?
signs.
Yeah.
There are some dollar signs.
Yeah, I thought it said for sale or something. Is that-
No, there's a dollar
Just
sign
funny
at
there.
the top, and then it says X $X. But I'm impressed
I know.
Sally, that you know that.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. All right, next I've got put these in numerical order. The number of times Venkman wipes his hands on things, the number of times Louis Tully gets locked out of his apartment, and the number of arcade games in the firehouse.
I don't know.
Is
Is that just for Sal? Am I invited?
Yeah, go for it.
That's for you guys can talk amongst yourselves, see if
Yeah.
you can figure it out.
Well, I think they have at least 2 arcade games in the
I
firehouse.
was thinking 2 as well because I played the video game and they put their arcade games in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember there being 2.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't imagine they would have money for 3.
No, and that's the thing. Like,
but it wasn't just one.
they don't have money for Chinese food, but they did buy those arcade
Right.
machines, which are at
They
least a
got
few
some
$1,000s a
vintage
piece.
cabinets.
Yeah, they got
Not even
those.
vintage; those were new then.
Yeah, those were new. They had to have them. You know, that was just when they
They
were
just
flush
had
with
to have
cash.
them.
They were like, "Oh, we have
It's
a mortgage."
actually funnier now that you think about it being like within the 10-year span, like pretty new games.
Yeah. So I think.
So yeah, 2 for that.
Yep. Lewis gets locked out of his apartment at least 2 times. I want to say 3.
Yeah, I think that was a rule of 3 too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree on 3.
And he wipes his hands off let's see. He uses it. He does it with the first ectoplasm in the library.
He wipes his hands on Dana's counter at one point after touching her eggs.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Which is just like, it's very subtle and little, but it's so rude.
It's so
I mixed up one because I was like, oh, and the funniest one yet, and that's in Ghostbusters 2 when he attempts to shake Janusz's hand, and he does this. He puts out his hand, and
On his
Janusz just
shirt.
touches it, and then he goes.
Yeah. Such a subtle dig.
It's so funny every time, and that's another movie. But anyway, yeah.
Isn't that weird? It's his character trait specifically to wipe his hands all over the
He
place.
just doesn't.
It's
And
like,
in
no.
places that
And
are
he's-
not normal.
Yeah.
Wiping them on
He just-
books with
Is that a Murray thing? Does he do it in
ectoplasm.
other movies, or that's a Peter Venkman
I think-
thing?
I
I think it's a Peter Venkman thing.
It has to be, right? Although I
Yeah.
would hesitate to credit Murray with creating a character with Venkman, but I'm because of his disdain for the franchise. But he is doing something. Like, that's the thing. He as much as like Bill Murray protests, like, he is being like, Venkman is not What About Bob or even Phil Connors. Like, Venkman is different than those
He's a
other
game show
characters.
host.
He's a game show host. Yeah.
He is.
I'm sorry, was 2 the correct answer, AJ? Did you spot any other
The
way?
correct answer for all of them is 3.
Oh,
So it was a trick question. There's a lot of rule of threes in Ghostbusters.
So there are 3
So he does it.
arcade
He
cabinets.
wipes his hands on the stack of books on the counter after the egg, and then he also later he wipes his hand on Walter Peck's arm when he has like
yeah.
goop on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. How's it going down there? Yeah.
And then Louis Tully gets locked out of his apartment 3 times for when we first meet him after Venkman leaves and he thinks Dana's in the hall, and then during the party.
Yeah.
And there are actually 3 arcade games in the firehouse.
So
There's
irresponsible.
2 like regular style arcade games and
And a
1
pinball
pinball
machine.
machine. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, arcade game.
Damn it.
I thought you just were talking
Wow.
video game.
That was a trick.
Mhm.
All right. Speaking of rule of threes, there's 3 celebrities that play themselves right in a row.
Oh, God.
There's Larry
Oh.
King,
Yes.
Casey Kasem on the radio, and then a guy who says, "How is Elvis? How have you seen him lately?"
Right.
Who's that third guy?
Ron Jeremy.
No, Ron Jeremy is in that movie, but it's
I know.
yeah. How is Elvis, and have you seen him lately? I don't know who that
Yeah,
TV
I don't know
host
that,
was.
that guy. Who is it?
I don't know.
You didn't look it
I was
up?
hoping you guys would know.
Was he not in the credits? Or
I wanted to look him up, but I didn't have time. I thought you would. I thought you would know.
This is like going on Jeopardy. And Trebek being like,
I don't know the
It
answer.
was
what that
Joe
would've been.
Franklin.
Yeah, I
The
got
correct answer was,
Bruh.
Joe
Yeah.
Franklin?
Joe Franklin.
Joe Franklin.
Yep.
I assume he was popular with like our parents, whoever he was.
So how hard is it to try, if you were to be successful in your Ecto Cooler campaign, to get Slimer onto the packaging? Because I know that was a real bear of a problem. For the first rollout after 2016 Ghostbusters, they were like, here's
Yeah.
Ecto Cooler, and everyone's like, it ain't Ecto Cooler without Slimer on the
Without
cover. And they're like, we
Slimer.
can't
do you
do
know why
Slimer.
do you know why they didn't do Slimer?
I assume they
can't
just
do
they
Slimer?
just couldn't, or it was too expensive or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same reason you don't see like Coca-Cola do the polar bears anymore. They made an agreement like to like a parents' council or something in like the early 2000s to not put any like animated characters or kids cartoon characters on their sugary drinks anymore. to not. I mean, it's high C. It's like literally for children's juice consumption. But like, you know, part of like the Joe Campbell era of like phasing out characters for unhealthy things.
Wow.
Coke made a pledge, and they won't go back on it.
Couldn't they argue
So
that
that's why they
Slimer
put Slimer.
isn't technically alive? Like, we're not talking about it. He's not a character at all. He's a phantasm. Like, they did the same
Get
thing.
Sal in on this.
They did
He's gonna make it happen.
I took my cues from Marvel, because Marvel did the same thing. These shrewd Toy Biz people. There was a tariff or a tax on dolls, and so like action figure manufacturers were very quick to be like, they're action figures, and then they were like, no, like we classify a doll as a depiction of a human being. And then they were like, well, these are not human beings. These are mutants. Mutants are not humans. And so all their X-Men books, like all their X-Men toys got under the radar for like a number of years because they were not classified as humans. And I'm like, so it's like, hey, listen, like, yeah, no, I completely agree. Anthropomorphic camels, completely
what's just weird?
not appropriate.
You would think like, okay, well, they did bring back Ecto Cooler, right?
Right. And they got the
And look
slime
what
in
else
there.
they had to do. They took the ghost out of the O in Ghostbusters. Because that would have been a cartoon ghost on the carton, and that could have convinced a child to drink this.
That's nuts. That's genuinely
the slime
insane.
works.
The slime works.
Can make
but
it happen.
I mean, the part of it is Slimer holding up the thing, and yeah.
Mike, what you got?
Really, like, my favorite part of that movie, so much of it was just like the ghosts and, you know, the streams and everything. And being that it was made, you know, came out in 84, there's not digital VFX or anything like that. And just like, I love, so much of it is practical, so much of it is like inventing new methods that just didn't exist at the time, that kind of stuff. The budget for the VFX, I don't know the total budget of the movie, but the budget for the VFX was $5.5 million for the special effects. And they were saying like the team got an early draft of the script, and like the VFX thing was going to be like $40 million. And so they're like, hang on, you can't do like 80% of the stuff in this script. So like they're working with them like directly for a long time to just get it to a place where it's like, we think we can do it like this. And to put it in perspective, $5.6 million in 84 was like $15 million today. But the team that was doing the VFX, they were all coming pretty much straight from like Star Wars, E.T., Poltergeist, animators from heavy metal. So like all those kind of influences start to make sense of like the visual language of the movie, and just sort of like how they're problem solving for like getting this stuff to feel serious. Like they take it all very serious, but it is a comedy at heart. So like that was their like approach to it, was like, let's do this like it is a very scary movie, but we know that it is a comedy at the same time.
Less than for that, it really held up because of that decision.
So some of the stuff that they were doing, there's some really funny shit in here. The scene in the hotel ballroom when they first meet Slimer, or like that sequence, and he's like hovering around the chandelier, like way up in the ceiling, and he has this really cool green trail like kind of following behind him. Their first attempt to it, I think, was to use like the full-size puppet that they had, but it was too big for the way they were filming it, like separately, and then they were going to comp it and however they were going to do that part. But it was too big to create that green trail or whatever, however they were doing it. And it's like the 15th hour, they have no money left and whatever to do anything. So that Slimer that's going around is just a peanut that has been spray painted green. And then they're just like rotating around. They're like, and it worked. And they were able to like get the trail from it somehow, or however that worked. But the streams from the proton packs, like that process in creating that was like 4 different processes in one. First, they filmed like actual explosions on like a soundstage, like full all tons of different kinds of explosions. And that was just the parts that's coming out of the end, like the nozzle. And so they did that, and then they like re-photographed it with a technique called pin blocking, which basically like kind of miniaturized the effect. So now it can fit and look small, but that's all like real explosions filmed and like re-photographed again so it can be small. And then the beams themselves, the streams, was like 5 different layers of traditional animation, all with like different effects on it. So it was like a green one with like some electricity, and then like a blue with like a little bit more glow, like all these kind of things like layered on top of each other. And then they would animate all that stuff, like 5 layers of that stuff, and then run that through an optical printer, or use an optical printer, which is basically like it projects images from one reel to another reel. So like they're filming all that stuff, and that's just the beams like on their own little film. Yeah. And then they're taking that and then like projecting it onto the actual film. So it's like all this like crazy like masking and matting and stuff to get all that stuff to work, which is that it's just crazy and cool to think, like, if you think of like the more recent ones, obviously they can just do it digitally. Exactly. And, like,
do it so quickly.
Set up in an instant. And it looks cooler and like integrated, but that was just such a unique, that whole era of just like traditional animation used as like VFX to make it feel real was always
I always
so cool.
loved how lightning looked in the 80s. Like nothing quite hits like that in a modern movie.
Totally.
It's like not how lightning really looks, but something about that style just like feels right.
Yeah.
Electricity. From Roger Rabbit style.
Oh yeah.
The Stay Puft, the scene when he's like walking around Central Park, and they're filming from like a high angle down. So obviously all that stuff underneath is miniatures and stuff. The problem that they're running into, they figured out that like because of his size, which was supposed to be like 110 something feet tall.
Yeah.
And like in that shot, it was all going to be like 1/18th scale, which is just like a weird scale for stuff. So they couldn't find any correct cars to like fit on the ground or any of that kind of stuff. And then one guy and part of that team happened to be at Toys R Us, and he found a cop car that fit, like, it looked like a 80s cop car, modern cop car at the time. And the scale was right. The design was right. It looked realistic. So we called Toys R Us and just like bought every possible car that they had off of like any Toys R Us in the United States.
Nice.
And they took all those, chopped them all up, and started making like the fire truck. I don't know how he just said, because we just chopped them up and made them into ambulances and fire trucks. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
It's just one, it's like a regular car.
Just chopped them up, you know? You know when you just get a car, you chop it up.
Chop up a metal car.
Yeah.
But I was like, that
In the 80s, they could just do stuff.
yeah.
Chop it up. It'll look great.
The craziest one to me was they had three Stay Puft suits that like a stuntman was in, and each one cost like $35,000 or something crazy. And there's a part where like the Marshmallow Man's on fire. They have to set him on fire. So there's one stuntman in there. They're filming. He gets set on fire, and like the stuntman like code for like, please put me out is just to go on the ground, like face down on the ground.
Yeah.
So he's on fire, goes on the ground like, this is not comfortable. This does not work. And like I think inside the suit is the forced air or whatever the word is, supplied air. So like an air tank in there so he can actually breathe. And so he does that, right? They put him out. That's $35,000. They're like, shit. All right. The next day, same guy set him on fire, goes on the ground. And then the guy's like, so then we got so-and-so. They just got a different stunt guy to go in there who's like more comfortable with being on fire inside the suit. But that guy's problem was like, I don't want the supplied air. And they're like, you have to have the supplied air because these suits are extremely toxic to when you're setting on fire. And apparently he's like, oh, okay. And they did it. And that's the one that they used. But I'm like, maybe, I don't know, don't use the toxic foam. Like, it just seemed like they're kind of glossing over that part.
What's nice is that guy that played Stay Puft came back for the new movie and was like behind the scenes and like doing puppeteering stuff.
Oh, really?
Cool.
And so that smoke didn't turn to cancer.
Yeah, he didn't die.
Good to hear.
That's
He did
good.
not die.
That's amazing.
But I love all that stuff. I mean, there's a ton more things that like I was just sort of watching it as a fan. It was just some behind the scenes sort of little vignettes and stuff. But like just seeing like the scale models and like the matte painting team. The thing that I'd forgotten, like the building that they use, like Dana's building. Yeah. The top 10 stories is a matte painting. Like that building, those top 10 floors don't exist.
Yeah.
And like you would never, even like now, like there's just those tricks in it where like, there's a part where the apartment's blown out and it's a high angle shot and like the top floor is all painting, or the top 10 floors is all painting. And then you've got a little bit of like actors like moving around like on the blown out area, but the rest you don't even notice. There's cars on the streets and they're painting. They're not moving at all, but you don't notice. Yeah. It's like mastery, just like, it's like Star Wars matte paintings where you just don't even notice.
Yeah.
Like it's just blended in.
One of those
perfectly.
paintings was for sale at an auction in like the last 3 months, and it would have bankrupted our family, but I can't
Real
tell
glad
you how.
didn't do that.
I would have looked at it every day with such joy and pride.
Yeah.
Like that belongs in a museum, like a big, like, next to famous pieces of art.
Yeah.
I think everyone would enjoy that.
Yeah. Those things, like the appreciation for those, like the use of those matte paintings and just like the skill behind it. It was just this woman who was in charge of it, but I think she was the one doing like the matte paintings, and just seeing some of like the line art like work that's going into it, and just how like perfectly precise everything is, and like you wouldn't even, because if one little angle's off, it just doesn't look, it kills the whole thing.
That's right.
It won't look like Vigo.
It's just wild to me. I don't know. So that was awesome. I was just like, love watching all that stuff. There's like, I watched like a few different videos, and they all had like the part where they're setting the Stay Puft on fire, and it's just like the scale model, just like this head that's already kind of half melted, and they're just like blasting it with like a flamethrower. Essentially, it's just fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
The Stay Puft face melting is creepy and looks really good.
Totally.
It's also funny because like how every ghost you get, especially in the first movie, but everywhere, is so drastically different from the other ghosts. There's no real cohesion between the ghosts, which I think also is fun and cool and doesn't like make you think about. I don't know why. Like today,
Yeah.
in today's world, everyone's like, it's all got to make it's got to make sense within the world, and it's like,
yeah,
there is a
has to be-
classification system, Sal, and I'm sure you're
well,
aware.
of course, I have Total Spirit Guide. I
class
could,
Yeah,
1
there's
through
Even as a
5,
kid, like I just took that as like,
it's a different ghost.
They died differently.
different
or they-
ghost.
whatever. They're from a
Supernatural
they
different
stuff.
time.
died a different way.
There's
They have a different kind of
demons.
spook,
Yeah.
spectacularness.
There was they
gods,
touched on that a
demigods.
little
Got
bit in the
vapors.
videos. There was
You've
like
got
a woman who
full
was in
torso
charge of
apparitions.
Right?
Yeah. There's a woman in charge of like making those effects, and there's that one that felt very different and real. Is that one that kind of comes out of the subway and it looks like a demon bird
Yeah,
kind
like
of
that
thing comes out. you
Yeah,
know?
the zombie cab driver also is like, what? Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
right,
the
right.
zombie cab driver is like, I paused on that and had to like look at it for a while to be like, this reminds me of something else from my childhood. What is
Yeah.
it?
You used to
It's
watch
so
the movie
spooky.
House.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you were like, this reminds me of like a skeleton guy house. And I was like, it reminds me of Return of the Living Dead.
mhm.
There's like a really creepy like guy covered in tar, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, no,
Uh,
I hate
yeah.
that guy.
And it's all in that same era. Like there's like 3
it's-
years in the 80s.
It's way more gory than any of the other ghosts. It's so.
And I can imagine. I love the
Ooh.
idea of like one guy being like, "I'm really good at making zombies." And like, great, we need one,
Yeah,
Just give us one, and that's it.
and he's going to drive a
you
cab.
got it, sir.
And it's like, oh, okay,
not
I can
gonna
make
do
like
much.
But that variety, it really opened up the world for the cartoon series
Oh,
that followed
yeah.
because they could go and do anything, Trolls, sure.
Yeah.
Like we'll do a thing on Bigfoot. Like
Sure.
anything supernatural is fair game. We don't just have to do a ghost that is haunting a house.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Although I am disappointed in Ghostbusters after the real Ghostbusters came, where I'm like, so they introduced a bunch of fun characters. There's some of the ghosts are or less cinematic than others. Like the ghosts that impersonate the Ghostbusters and take over their job. I don't think you can make a movie out of that. But like the
hard.
the Boogeyman, Sam Hain. Pumpkinhead, like you're not gonna put him in this movie, like in this movie that doesn't.
I don't know.
In this movie that means nothing, you're not gonna put the
This is where we're
Pumpkinhead
gonna make
guy.
you angry, Sal. Those are like based on like actual lore.
Yeah.
Like, you want Ghostbusters to make up something new.
Well, that's true.
You want them to like come up with like an idea that you could have never come up with. Not like the Boogeyman, right? Like,
Well, I mean, Ice
that's
Guy
for
is
Stephen
probably
King
a
to
little
write
bit
about.
less exciting than the Boogeyman.
I don't love Ice Guy.
Ice Guy, or whatever.
But
I
I
think
think
that's
love
the
Ice
there's
other
a
Guy.
one.
happy medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
I mean, like what? Like how many times is like a god just going to come and try to destroy that city?
2.
We should have done something else entirely.
I mean,
Can we
Gozer
do something
again.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy those movies in their own fashion. Like there are parts of me where I'm like, yeah, I actually I have a problem with porgs, but I also do not have a problem with mini puffs. I don't know why.
I'm down for both.
Right? But mini puffs, like I love how much they want to die, how they get
Yeah.
off on
It
it.
brought Gremlins vibes, and that fit, right? Because
Big
the
time.
world can accept a lot of different vibes of ghosts and mayhem and mischief.
Yes.
And the music like kind of sold it at the same
Oh,
time.
yeah.
They like there's a little bit of Gremlins theme when
Totally.
they first showcase the mini puffs,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I see where they're going.
Yeah,
with
the
this.
mini puffs debuting.
Plus, the world needs Gremlins right now.
Yeah, we're
There's-
getting a Gremlins 3.
we got
it's
no
coming.
such thing, and we need them.
Yeah.
Wait, what? We're getting a Gremlins.
We are getting a Gremlins
They've
3.
been saying that for a while. Is it actually happening?
Yeah, apparently it's happening. Gremlins 3 is coming.
You sound so unhappy.
Because
about
I know it's not going to be good. And
Yeah.
like they made a cartoon.
I know, we're
It's called
there.
Mugwai. You can check it out now. It's out multiple seasons.
We watched a little. It's very
Yeah,
different because it's in another century.
Yeah, I couldn't even be bothered. But
One last thing I just want to mention. I know it's not a big Easter egg or anything like that, but just because we talked about him, was that Paul Rubens was like the first choice for Gozer.
Yeah.
what a shame we didn't
And
get that.
Word?
he was just supposed to be like a businessman or like in a business
I'm
suit.
sure he would have brought something cool to it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He wouldn't have just
Interesting.
played it straight.
But
Oh,
he didn't.
wow.
He passed on it, I think.
Makes
That's
sense.
what it
He was
was.
probably
And then it was going to be Grace Jones, which I was like,
Okay.
sure, that make
the fact that it isn't Paul Rubens. It made the third act, or at least the climax of the movie, much more grounded because it's not a joke. Like, and I don't
Right.
want to talk about like
She's a serious threat.
yeah, like in the reboot where it's like the threat, the third act is also like it's all a big goofy bunch of bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
We won't talk about
I don't
that.
want to talk about it. I'm just saying, like,
Let's
but
not
like
talk
we've
about
seen the alternative to like having a third act villain that you are avoiding or trying to prevent for the whole movie, and then they show up
Yeah.
and having them be this like voiceless, insane looking. Like I'm like, what do you? I remember when that costume went up for auction. I was like, I'm never gonna buy this, but I'm like, I just seeing all the bubble wrap on it. I'm like, Yeah, that's what it looks like. I kind of suspected it was a really flimsy thing, and there it is. But like, and then she speaks, and you're like, whoa! Like there's a lot of really cool like otherworldliness about her that makes that movie grounded.
A lot of thought.
And yet also kind of like, but no explanation. Thought, but no explanation. I really appreciate that.
Made it wonderful to take apart for 41 years.
Yeah, it makes sense to them, and we can all discuss.
That's why
it.
I care.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great.
That's it for this week. Thanks, Dan, for coming in and sharing all of the knowledge. Appreciate it. You guys got anything you want to plug?
Oh, I actually do have one thing I want to plug. It's called Ghostbusters.
Like the breath freshener? Who is that?
Oh!
Rest in peace, headphone users.
Is there a treasure trove of old AJ clips out there on the internet?
Yes, there are.
I don't really have anything to plug.
You got anything to plug, Sal?
I guess. All right, hang on. Let me pull it up. Here we go. This is my thing that I'm interested in. It's something that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and
Rage quit. How do I turn off this thing?
That was good. That was a good one.
Thank you.
I was like, just about like, all right, this something's happening here.
Sal's used screen share more times in this episode than ever in the history of the show, so it must be Freddy Freaker.
Yup.
Thanks, but no thanks, guys.
Oh my
See you
god.
never.
Dan, anything you want to plug?
Oh yeah, you can always go to Resurrect Ecto Cooler on Instagram. I don't have much hope it'll ever return. I mean, we did it twice, but you never know. So come on over.
Do you have a stockpile?
Yeah. Actually, there's one in our fridge. AJ can attest to that. That is still full of juice.
It's probably not good anymore.
Yeah.
There's a couple videos on YouTube of people trying the old stuff, and they throw up after. So please don't try that.
Yeah.
We did a taste test here in the office.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was good.
When it was good.
Nice. I also stockpiled it. When it first came on the scene, I bought it, and then I didn't drink it, and then it expired, and I'm like,
damn it.
You know what's weird? Yeah, I actually got sick of it, and I was like, what am I don't even like this anymore, and I'm writing a whole fan campaign for it.
Since we're on that subject, I will say at the very least, as a kid, I drank it because I was a Ghostbusters fan. I don't like Ecto Cooler.
Sure. That's fair.
It's really like it's too acidic.
Tangerine.
The original one,
acidic.
it was really harsh. And if you were sick, R.I.P. your throat because it just burned you.
Yeah, it was like ginger.
Yeah. It was like ginger and tangerine. It pulled essential nutrients out of your throat. It was, but I drank a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
For sure.
So I'm like, well, Slimer's on the cover. I'm a slave to this. Hey, let me throw this one at you. Did you ever chew the toothpaste gum that said Slimer on
that
it?
distinct feeling. Yeah, it's a slime gum.
Slime gum.
And it starts wetter than it ends.
Yes, it was. It's in
the sugar.
It's in a straight up toothpaste tube,
mouth.
and you just squeezed it out, and it was green, like Slimer green, and it was just a paste that came out, and it had granulated sugar on it.
Famously, at the same time, they released a toothpaste that looked almost exactly the same. So, Sal, there's a non-zero chance that you were just.
I was just eating toothpaste. It's very true. Yeah, I vividly recall getting it, chewing it, loving it. But
so the actual Slimer thing wasn't toothpaste. It was just a sugar.
No, it was gum in a toothpaste tube.
A bubble gum that was liquid.
Yeah.
Like a viscous liquid.
Like a sludge or a slurry.
Oh my, slurry, yeah.
I can't think of a more yellow-toothed character than Slimer. Why would you want to brush your teeth to that? You should only rot your teeth with it.
Hence the gum.
Yeah. Oh, man, I chewed. I don't. You couldn't chew it. It was, as you pointed out, a liquid. So it was like you just kind of put it in your mouth.
It's not like a type of candy that exists today under a new name. Like they just discontinued that idea.
The whole thing. I want to believe that the
kids weren't loving it.
I want to believe the Turtles people were like, whatever that is, put the turtles on it, sell it to children, and then get out.
Yes.
Like, it looks like I can buy a tube for $300 on eBay right now.
Do it.
Please don't.
I won't.
Do it.
Because
do it.
I'll be tempted
Do
to
it.
eat it, and then I'll die.
And then you'll die.
Well, it'd be cool to have a ghost on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, and that was gum. Oh my
Yeah, it was
Wow.
gum.
It says the real Ghostbusters on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slimer looks amazing.
I know
though.
exactly what it looks like, even though I can't open the link.
Yeah, that Slimer image is pulled from a really awesome promotional piece that they used on some merchandise, including a TV tray that I own.
I had Sal, I had that TV tray too. We should.
We should totally hang out. We'll just talk about things that we both remember when we were children, which is basically the predication of all my
enemies. By the
That's
end of
our
this.
friend. That's all my friendships anyway. I'm like, hey, remember Bucky O'Hare? Or yeah, I don't know.
Our coffee room table pulls up to be a TV tray, and I'm kind of disappointed that it does that
Yeah.
because I can't justify buying TV
Just
trays.
add another
from eBay
TV
right
tray. I found it at my parents' house.
I would definitely
I was
have
like,
them.
this is in great shape, and I took it to my studio. It's over there. I can't reach it. Like all the things that are Ghostbusters related, I can't.
Why not?
I can't reach it. The real reason why I
reach
don't have any Ghostbusters stuff on my set is because I used to, but my audience does not give a flying fuck about
I hear that.
That's very
Ghostbusters.
sad.
It hasn't hit with the youngest generation in a way that they hoped it
Yeah,
would.
it ain't like the Turtles, where
That's
it's like
so
every
sad.
generation has a Turtles. Like every generation does not have a
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
All right, y'all. Thanks
All
again
right.
for everybody for talking about Ghostbusters. Thanks, Dan, for joining
having
us.
Thank
If
you.
you're watching us on YouTube, give a like, leave a comment.
If you're listening,
If you're
give us a
listening
5-star
to us
rating.
on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where we get leave a comment, really helps us out.
Yeah.
And check us out on Patreon. We put extra bits from every podcast on there, so check it out.
Check it out.
Give me the bits.
We like you, and we hope you like us.
I am happy that my go-to was dipshit. That is my favorite.
It's a good one.
word.
Ooh.
So I was like, yeah, it feels natural. That felt good. That felt right.
Yeah. That felt right. I don't have
And
any
no one can
regrets
get
about
really
that one.
that mad about being called a dipshit.
I'm from Jersey. It's just hyper aggression at all times. Like I immediately go from like, oh, this is a really nice day. I think I saw a deer to fuck you.
Fuck that deer.